Good day, dear subscribers. This is ISON Company. I have prepared a new section for you on installing a video surveillance system at the site. Typical scheme. In particular, here we will talk about installing video surveillance for a private house and a cottage. Here I have some cameras, and I will now arrange them, showing where to install the cameras from a professional installation perspective. I will also answer all the most popular questions asked when buying a video surveillance system. How many cameras? What quality? Where to place the cameras? Which is better, IP or HD? What equipment is needed? I will cover the available options, specifications, what should be included, and what the prices are. What else is needed? Is an uninterruptible power supply, UPS, monitor, router necessary? How to lay the cables? Should the recorder be hidden? What is the cloud? Is it needed? And so on. In other words, it will be a long, extensive video. Get ready, pour yourself some tea and grab some popcorn. I want to make this video because we have already filmed many clips on the topic of how to choose equipment, how it differs from one another, what is better and what is worse. But there are no videos, neither from us nor on YouTube in general, about where to place the cameras. How to properly position the cameras from the perspective of all possible aspects of safety and comfort in order to account for everything. So, first, let's start with the most important and most common mistake of everyone who installs a video surveillance system in their home, particularly in a classic cottage or a traditional house. People do not install cameras outside the property. Usually cameras are placed somewhere inside to monitor the house around the perimeter at the corners, but no one installs a camera outside right here. Why is it necessary to do this? Because there is a high probability that a thief will arrive at your place by car. Accordingly, it is necessary to capture him, capture the license plate and car itself. Even if the thief arrives, not by car, if they have their license plate removed, if they leave the car far away, if the license plate is obscured, official statistics show that 99% of all burglaries of such private houses, meaning those that are, let's say, professionally executed burglaries, not just some drunk person walking down the street deciding to steal a shovel, are preceded by a preparation process where different people circle around your house for several weeks, trying to understand when you leave home, what they can take from you, what locks you have on your doors, what your doors are like, and so on and so forth. That is, they possibly peek over the fence and so on. So, here's a quick tip. That is, if, God forbid, of course, I wish for all of you that you never need a surveillance system from this perspective, so that you always use it only for comfort. If such a burglary or something similar happens to you, it will be necessary to immediately review 2 to 3, 4 weeks of footage, 4 weeks of archives. To see how someone prepared who approached the house in general, here's a quick tip. What does it mean to watch 2 to 3 weeks of archives? Let's calculate. So let's say 2 weeks is 14 days, multiply by 24 hours. It's 336 hours. Even if you watch for 5 hours a day, it will take you 67 days. So this is a very physically demanding process for any person, even if you involve the whole family. How can we enhance and optimize this, in a way, so to speak, the question of reviewing the archives? For this, you need to take and install a system with motion sensors, where each camera will have a motion sensor installed. Accordingly, the system will not only have the camera, but the recorder itself should also have this functionality, and everything should be installed on it, but that's not the essence of the technical details. So, if you just have a motion sensor, when you view through the menu of the video recorder, there will be red dots. In those places, for example, open November 27th, hypothetically, and you will have a timeline in front of you from 0 to 24 hours. And you see that a red dot is at 1:30 a.m. You click on it and immediately see what movement was there. So this option is very convenient for viewing, or simply transfer those moments where there was movement to a flash drive and view all of this on a computer. So, let's talk right away about which cameras to install. That is, we figured out that we are placing them at the corner. An important point. You need to consider what approach there is to your house. It can be either direct, where your car is like this, people drive up, and there is no side approach at all. Or that here, accordingly, cars also drive by and people drive there. Then it would be more professional to also install a camera. Now I will find another camera to the second corner. Now we will try to turn it around somehow.
Let's say it will be crooked like this, but essence I think is clear to you.
place it in the second corner because when we set the camera like this, blind spot appears here. What is the viewing angle of cameras in general? There are two options: a 72-degree viewing angle, which is relatively small, and of course there is a large blind spot here, starting from about this point, and all of this is in the blind zone, and 120 degrees, 2.8mm lens. So I will now talk about our equipment using examples. This is not an advertisement. Buy wherever you want. I just know our equipment well. I know what it is capable of, what quality it has, what viewing angles. Therefore, if you want to find a viewing angle of 120 degrees, look for a 2.8mm lens. It should be written like that because not all manufacturers specify 120 degrees. 2.8mm is 120 degrees, 3.6mm is 72 degrees, 1.2mm 120 degrees, 3.6mm is 72 degrees. Right now, from a professional installation perspective, I would definitely recommend doing everything to the maximum, meaning installing 4-megapixel cameras, which are currently the top level in terms of budget-friendly options. So, where to install the cameras? I recommend a height of no less than 3 meters and no more than 5. We often have, oh, let's install it higher. Problem is when the camera is installed too high. For example, if we install it here, on the roof of the house, the angle becomes very sharp and of course the distance. A baseball cap, a hat, their faces are not visible as the camera is installed high. You can see this person perfectly. And it's certainly harder to see the number at such an angle, even with top cameras. Keep this in mind, so they should be above 5 meters. No lower than 3 to prevent basic acts of vandalism, like when a drunk person walks by and throws a stone. Again, these cameras in ISON Grec, in ISON Mall, these types of cameras are vandal-proof, made of special metal. They are quite difficult to damage. Now, let's move on. The next points are more individual. First of all, we must adhere to the principle that the fewer dead zones, better. Again, yes, if the budget allows, because this is quite a complex object, and we need to understand that we have here on the right and left, there are neighbors, or a road, or something unclear, or a forest. Will they come from there, or not? It's certainly better when there are no dead zones and everything is captured by the camera's lens. So if the budget doesn't allow, if the situation is simpler, where there are good neighbors here and there, we need to cover the vulnerable spots. What are the vulnerable spots? Here again we will take some official statistics. Most often they first break into the garage. Typically they break into the garage to take something from there, some tools or equipment, and try to get into the house from the garage because the doors are usually less secure. Something from the backyard. This is if we are specifically talking about the property, meaning we are not discussing the house yet. Here we need to understand what will be a vulnerable area. From the perspective of intrusion into the property and breaking into the garage or the bathhouse, we need to consider what we are looking at. It is necessary to install a camera there. How should it be installed? I often see such mistakes when a camera is placed somewhere on the corner and it captures everything here. But let's say if a person climbs in like this, here, through this spot, and tries to go somewhere over here, then the camera will have a very incorrect angle, meaning you will get just a piece of their face. And you will only see their face if for some reason they decide to look directly at the camera, resulting in a straight angle. This is not quite right. It would be better to place the camera like this if we are securing the garage. Place it on the garage so that if a person wants to approach, they will come this way and will be captured in the frame. It doesn't matter whether he can reach this camera or not. What matters is that he looks at it, so that his image is captured, and so that you can later take this to the police. So we place the camera, and accordingly in all places, if you know that there is a high probability that a person will climb in from here, from the side for example, if you expect that your neighbor might come in, you position the camera with the lens directed so that their face is in the frame. This is the first point. The second point is that video surveillance is not only a matter of security but also a matter of comfort. So we want to place the camera here on the corner to generally see what is happening in the yard as the snow melted. Where is my wife? Is the dog running around there? Is everything okay? What is the weather like? So this camera will be for a general panoramic view, but it primarily serves for comfort. By the way, many clients combine these outdoor cameras with intercom systems, so it's not necessary to install a separate intercom.
You can just install an electric lock here, place a button near the door at home, and set up a separate monitor for video surveillance. I will explain this point in more detail later. Try to ensure that the cameras are aimed at the areas where a burglar is most likely to attempt to enter your home. For all other areas, we just take and... Okay, now I will find this camera. In all other cases, we simply take the camera and cover the perimeter. Here, I think there is nothing complicated. The task is to create a minimum of dead zones. Accordingly, our area here is quite complex. More than 8 cameras will likely be required. But as a rule, a house has 4, 6 or 8 cameras. These are the options. So where to place them specifically here? But the fence here is poorly positioned, so we will have to make a post. We will need to weld it separately. You can do this yourself, save costs. By default, each camera comes with a set, again for a normal camera. The set includes 3 mounting screws and 3 plastic mounting anchors. You can also secure all of this with anchor bolts. You will have to look for a system that can only be pulled out with a tractor, even by the roots. Now let's talk about what equipment is needed, specifications and prices. For any video surveillance system, we need a camera, a cable, accordingly connectors, power supply, meaning the power supply is also provided in different ways. In general, we need a power supply unit, a video recorder, a hard drive, accordingly a power supply for the video recorder and a control mouse. Here we have a visual video recorder. What else is needed? UPS, uninterruptible power supply. Is it needed? If you occasionally experience power outages at your facility, then yes, it is needed. This will save and extend the lifespan of the device. Video surveillance is designed to operate around the clock. It should not be turned off. Monitor. Let's talk about where we will place the video recorder. Where will we install it? How will we protect it? Of course, it's better to protect the video recorder. Know that not many people worry about this. Some even place it near the TV. It's better to at least hide it, somewhere under the stairs or in a designated special niche. Hide it somehow, because if your burglars accidentally see it, they will take it away. There will be no archive left. Here, first of all, there is an option for cloud video surveillance, and we will talk about it further. If online, the recording is backed up remotely, and if the recorder is stolen, you can view the archive. But this is naturally a paid service, and the monthly subscription fee is quite significant in our time. There is an option to hide it under the stairs, or to take a regular metal cabinet for electrical equipment and lock it there. There is also the option of a professional safe, which costs from 30,000 rubles and up. Here, look for yourself. The video recorder is connected. It is often simply connected to the TV via an HDMI cable. This is the highest quality way to transmit video signals. So, the recording will default to the maximum quality on the hard drive. To view online, connect via VGA or HDMI. Understand that there will be 2 completely different images. You can connect to a computer over the network or use a VGA monitor. Take the DVD and view it. It's simple. You can connect to a computer over the network. You can also view from a phone, a tablet. Basically, all options are available. It is also quite common to provide a convenient option to place a regular VGA monitor near the entrance door, which costs about 5,000 to 7,000 rubles for the simplest one. And the convenience is that when you approach the door, you can generally see the picture displaying all 4 or all 8 cameras on the monitor, or just one at the entrance. Again, when a person approaches the door, you will see who they are, whether you open the door for them or not. How to lay the cable? It's a very interesting point. Here, of course, the situation can vary. From a professional installation perspective, the cable should be laid underground using a good corrugated pipe with a metal core so that no stone can crush it, and inside the house it should be secured to the wall. But I understand that this is only an option when you are building a house and planning all of this. If the house is already built, then you have to use all possible methods. If you are laying it outdoors, it's better to take a regular corrugated pipe and hide the cable inside. You can stretch it as you need. You can also do this in a cable channel both inside and outside. There is an option to run the cable in the air. You can just throw the cable, but it's better to use a cable suspension. Cable suspensions can be professional or homemade. When a cable is taken, it is simply wrapped with a clip or tape. And what is the cloud, and is it necessary for a private house? As I already said, The cloud is a function that transmits recorded data over the internet to a remote server and stores it there. The convenience is that firstly, the recording from the dashcam is duplicated, and secondly, you can remotely view the archive. That is, normally to view the archive, you need to go directly to the surveillance system, to the recorder itself, and then either transfer it to a flash drive or watch it online from a computer. What's the nuance? It costs money. It is currently not cheap. Over 5 years, prices have increased more than 3 times. Does the surveillance system need to be maintained in any way? You know, if we are talking about a regular standard system with 4-8 cameras, especially a ready-made set, if you place the recorder somewhere in a non-dusty clean place where dust cannot accumulate, then it will work for 5 years. Nothing will happen to it and nothing needs to be done with it. And this is due to the fact that many installation organizations immediately for services. A normal modern surveillance system does not require any complications. Regarding motion sensors, people often ask about what happens if a dog runs by, if trees enter the frame, if the road or other vehicles come into view. In a normal surveillance system, the motion sensor is configured for sensitivity, and the area of activation for the motion sensor is also set. That is, when you mount the camera, you can set it so that the motion sensor only reacts to what approaches your house, not everything in the frame.